following program is a production of the Fairfax Network, Fairfax County Public Schools.
Hello there. Welcome to the MTA studio. I'm Della Kidd. Joining me today is children's author and illustrator Jennifer O'Connell. Jennifer's picture book, 10 Timid Ghosts, was a New York Times, Publishers Weekly, and USA Today bestseller. Her follow-up book is 10 Timid Ghosts on a Christmas Night, and her beautiful illustrations can be seen in the book, A Garden of Whales. Jennifer, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to talking to you.
Me too.
We have a great show planned for today. This is a live presentation, so give us a call. Our phone line will be open in just a few minutes. Our number nationally is 1-800-231-6359. If you're calling us locally, you may reach us at 703-978-1636. Well, Jennifer, let's start at the beginning.
Great.
Talk to me about a little bit about yourself and what sparked your interest in becoming an author and illustrator.
Well, I have to say, when I loved drawing ever since I was very small, and in school, that was my favorite part of the day when we were able to draw. And my parents were very supportive of me. My dad was a huge storyteller, and at night, my sister and I were in the same room, and at night with the lights down, he would light a pretend fire, and we'd sit there, and he would tell us stories around
create a cool
bedtime
setting.
stories. And my mom is an artist herself, and she always used to encourage me doing art. And
apparently she recognized some talent there.
well, one of the things that she gave me was this poetry drawing book. And what it is it's a book of poems, but there are no pictures. And you have the poem, and it has the author of the poem, and then illustrated by and a line. And so you're the illustrator of the poem.
What a great idea.
This was, early on, I'm thinking, I'm the illustrator of this. And so I started thinking about that. Another thing that really, I think, influenced me was in our den, my parents put up this poster, The Land of Make-Believe.
I recognize this from my childhood.
Really?
Yes, I do.
And I spent lots of time looking at this picture and following the road and looking at all the different characters. And I really think that this had an influence on me, just thinking up stories.
Because it really does take you through a journey through make-believe, and it really allows a child to look and imagine all of the possibilities and the adventures your characters that you create could go on as well.
That's right. And so I kept drawing and even taking some classes outside of school, and ended up going to Philadelphia College of Art, which is now called University of the Arts in Philadelphia. I was an illustration major, and it was exciting when I graduated to start getting illustration work. And what I love about illustration is that every assignment is different, but my favorite thing of all to do, of course, is picture books, which is creating a group of pictures.
The creative process. And you've been an artist your entire life. That's fascinating.
Enjoyed doing it.
Well, we have some taped questions from students from Navy Elementary in Fairfax, Virginia. They're very curious about your work as an author and illustrator, and they've formed some questions. So let's take a look at those, and then we'll come back and give you a chance to answer.
Okay,
great.
When you wrote the book, The 10 Timid Ghosts, which came first, the pictures or the words?
As an illustrator, do you have to do research for your drawings?
How does it feel like having an editor tell you to change your pictures?
Okay, those students from Navy have some great questions. So let's start with the first, which was, when you wrote the book 10 Timid Ghosts, which came first, the pictures or the words?
Well, I have to say the idea came first. And a lot of times my ideas are sparked by pictures or images. And with 10 Timid Ghosts, years before even writing the book, I had a birthday party for my daughter, whose birthday is near Halloween, and this was one of the games at the birthday party.
Oh, fun.
This big haunted house, and you had blocks, and if you build a haunted house this high, you got a certain prize, this high a certain prize, and this was the best prize. But I think that this image of the haunted house was in my mind, and I just, I love old houses, and one day I was driving my kids to school in October, and of course their favorite thing to talk about is, what are we going to be for Halloween?
Right.
And I always carry a little pad with me where I write down ideas. And so I started at red lights, of course, jotting down just the different things, neat things about Halloween. Haunted houses, witches, ghosts, monsters, skeletons. And that's, I think, a good thing to do when you're creating a story, just brainstorm.
Yeah, that brainstorming process is so important.
Right, and I dropped them off, and then I started thinking, as I was driving back, I started thinking about this haunted house and these 10 ghosts that live in the house, and a witch moves in one day and wants them out. And I thought, oh, the ghosts could be 10, could be a counting book. So that's how that idea, and so then I started writing down the words. As far as 10 Timid Ghosts on a Christmas Night, that also was sparked by an image. And
We have a lot of goodies here today.
this is a blow up of a Christmas card I did that December after the book 10 Timid Ghosts came out. I thought, oh, they're still at the house. And they're flying down their hill on toboggans and sleds. And I sent my cards out, and at the publisher, they said, oh my gosh, we love that card. And all of a sudden I thought, gosh, what story could go with this card? And that's how that story came to be, where they discover all these Christmas decorations in their attic, and they set up the house. And the whole story is about what happens on Christmas Eve.
Oh, that's fascinating. It's sweet. And they look like they're having so much fun in the process, too. The next question that the students posed was, as an illustrator, do you have to do research for your drawings?
Yes, I do. And I had to get tons of books out on a Garden of Whales, because I actually had never, when I got the assignment to do the book, I had never drawn a whale before. So I had to get a lot of books out of the library and researched a lot.
So you had to look up not only the different types of whales, but their habitats, everything about them, the way that their behaviors, all of those things, correct?
Oh, yes, yes.
Any interesting facts that you picked up along the way?
Well, oh gosh, you know, it was fascinating learning about toothed whales versus baleen whales.
And you have, I believe, a model of a whale's tooth here, is that correct?
Yes, actually, I read that they're 7 to 8 inches high, and they weigh about 2 pounds. So I bought about 2 pounds of clay, and I like to bring this to my school presentations to pass around. Because it's one thing to look at something in a book, but another thing to see the actual size of something.
I know that the baby blue is always fascinating to students. It's one of our favorite large mammal creatures. Tell us a little bit about what you learned about the baby blue and the process of drawing him.
I couldn't believe how long a baby blue whale is. Do you know?
Well, do they come in feet, or would I measure them in inches? Or
well, feet.
Okay. How about 10 feet for a brand new baby, newborn?
Yes, yes.
10 feet.
Well, actually, they're 23 feet, the average size.
Is that what we're looking at here?
Yes, and what I love to do is to bring that to the schools, because it's that whole thing of you see it in a book, and then when you see life size,
you can see the scale of it.
It's really amazing.
So when you pulled out that canvas, and that was the full length of the baby whale, and then it looked like the picture that you were showing from a Garden of Whales was the baby in scale with the size of the mama.
That's one of my reference books, actually, and the mother can be 80 to 100 feet. So.
And what was, we were talking before the show about what the mom has to do for the baby.
Right, right. That mother's got to get up under that baby and lift it up to the surface as soon as it's born, because of course they're mammals and they need the baby needs its first breath of air.
That's a big baby. Well, before the show, you also shared with me that you have to do photographic research. Tell me about that. Can you explain to our viewers what research with photographs involves?
Well, for A Garden of Whales, the main character was a boy, a 9-year-old boy. And when doing a picture book, the characters got to look the same throughout the book. And so I was able to photograph my neighbor's son, Patrick, from across the street. And
he's in different poses
he's in the
here.
different poses. In this pose, I had him lean over the chair, and there's a part in the book where the kids are in bathtubs, where he's in a bathtub calling down to the whales. The bathtub's floating.
And we're looking at that on the screen now.
Okay. And so you can see how that pose
and if you
worked
look,
for
the
that.
pose is almost identical.
Yes. And for this pose, we were over at a friend's house for dinner, and I was in the middle of the book, and it was the scene where the kids are pushing the whales back into the ocean. And I really wanted that pose of pushing something heavy. So
of where their hands would be and where their legs would be placed as they're pushing something heavy.
That's right. So I took some pictures of the kids and their neighbors.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
with pushing a van.
Right.
So it
That
really
is very awesome. The last student question from the students from Navy was, how does it feel to have an editor tell you to change your pictures? Tell us about that.
Well, it's a great process because when you're working on a picture book, you're working with a team of people. And 9 times out of 10, the changes that they ask you to do are things that are going to make the book so much better.
Right.
And I was able to find this from 10 Timid Ghosts. These were the pages of comments they had about my sketches.
Okay.
Lots
And
of
then the red
changes.
writing is
And
what?
The red writing was after I received this, that my notes on how I was going to respond to what they said. And they made the book so much better. It's so exciting to work together with everyone, and you make it that much a better book. And
So because you're getting their perspectives and a fresh lens.
exactly. And one of the main changes that they had me work on was when the part in the book where the ghosts all form into one big ghost to scare the witch. And this was the original sketch. And they said,
What didn't they like about it?
well, they didn't like the teeth.
Okay.
Because for the audience, they said the teeth are much too scary for that age of children. And so I redid it with the group and without the teeth. And then they were looking at it and they said, but you know what, we don't really like it being like a snake.
Okay, so they have smiling faces, but they kind of look like a snake.
Right.
All right.
So they said, can you put them sort of in a group, all happy that they've scared the witch? So here they are in a group. And the last thing was, they did not want one ghost sticking out its tongue.
Yeah, naughty behavior.
Right. So we took that out, and then this is the final image.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It must be fun bringing life to ghosts.
Yes. Well, speaking of life to ghosts, the other main change, when I had done my initial proposal, all the ghosts looked the same. And in the story, there's a clever ghost throughout where at the end she tells them all, it's the witch who's been dressing up in all these costumes. And they said, well, how are we going to know who's the clever ghost? So I had to take all those ghosts that look the same and make them all look different. And I gave the smart ghost a little point on her head, and all of a sudden these ghosts started getting personalities. One of them was hiding under rugs, and one in a lamp.
And so you drew their faces to kind of complement the way they behaved in the story.
Right. And it was just an example of the characters coming to life as we worked on the project with the editor and the art director.
Fun process, but not a quick process, right?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, just as an author often needs to revise his or her words, illustrators must often revise their drawings. Let's take a look at how Jennifer's illustrations in A Garden of Whales blossomed after many revisions.
Let me tell you a little bit about the revision process. In the case of A Garden of Whales, when I was working on the garden, I was really having trouble figuring out what was that garden going to look like. Is it these big whale shapes coming out of the ground? Is it the tails sprouting up with the children watering? Here I have a close-up of the children watering the tails of the whales. Finally, I came upon these big kind of whale plants, and this was one of the initial sketches that was quite rough. This was the final sketch that I did, and guess what? They did not go for it. This did not work for them at all. I was so frustrated at that point, so I called Maggie Davis, the author, and told her I was stuck because she said, "Oh my gosh, I can just visualize this sweeping hillside with these huge crocus flowers, and in the center of each flower is a whale." So I went to my picture file and I researched the crocuses. I started sketching that idea. I started out very rough, and there's that hillside, and I started getting in those big flowers, and with the water in the distance of the coast. This is the final sketch where I show the water, and I have my main character here on the right with his hand on an orca, and they approved this sketch, and so I was able to go to the final illustration. Here's the book dummy for A Garden of Whales, and I'd like to show you a few of the other revisions that I had to do. All the yellow slips are changes that were needed in the book. This particular one, the boy on the left, they said he looked to be about 20 years old, and he's actually 9 in the story, so I had to make him look a lot younger, and it's very important when you're illustrating a book to make your characters look the same throughout the book. In this picture, I tried to do as many different whales as possible, because this is when they're letting them back into the water, and I just tried to do every kind of whale. And my young daughter at the time really helped me with this picture, because she was going through a rainbow phase where she was painting rainbows, and she says it needs a rainbow. So I actually did a rainbow, and I was really glad that I did that, because as you see in the final spread, it's very dark, lots of blues and grays, and the rainbow really adds to the picture and also gives it that happy feeling that everybody was feeling it, letting all these whales go back into the ocean.
Fascinating watching the transformation from just a basic sketch to the finished product. What beautiful, beautiful pictures.
Oh, thank you.
They're just lovely. I'm curious, how long did it take, that process of creating those pictures from beginning to finish?
That took about 6 months.
That's a long time.
was-
I'm thinking every day?
Every day, and in the evening too.
Wow. Well, you mentioned in the video that we just watched that there was a time when you were stuck on your ideas and envisioning what a garden of whales would look like. Do you have any techniques that you use to help inspire you?
Well, for A Garden of Whales, I do have my studio at home, and it's a busy household, and I had this big deadline coming up, and one day my husband came home with some music that I just fell in love with, and it was Enya.
Beautiful.
And so I ended up playing Enya music
And
a
I
lot
believe we
when I
have,
did the paintings.
yes, here we go.
Okay.
Opportunity to listen to a little bit of that music, and I must say, as I'm watching you draw to the music, you make this look so easy, and I know it is not, but it's beautiful.
Well, when I go do my school presentations, I love sharing that aspect with kids, and I play 3 different songs for them, and they have to guess which is the music that I listen to.
Yeah.
And then I do the sketches for them.
Well, it's lovely.
Hopefully spark their...
Well, it's certainly a technique that works for you. We're going to stop here. We have a phone call.
Okay.
Okay. We have a phone call, and this is from Kelly, I believe. Hi, Kelly. What is your question for Jennifer today?
How old were you when you made your first book?
How old were you when you made your
was I?
first book?
I think I was about 25 years old.
Okay. And we have another call, so let's...
Okay.
Do we have another call? I do want to remind you I'm here at the MTA studio with author, illustrator Jennifer O'Connell. And if you have a question, give us a call. Our number nationally is 1-800-231-6359. If you're calling us locally, you may reach us at 703-978-1636. Is our caller there? Okay, we're going to go to an email question.
Okay.
This is from Abby, and she wants to know, do you like writing or illustrating more? Oh, that's a hard one.
It is a hard one.
Yeah.
But I would have to say illustrating, because I think my background is I've been doing art forever,
Yeah.
and I love both. I love combining both. But there's something about creating a whole series of pictures that
Yeah.
create a world of a story
That's right.
in the story. So.
That's beautiful. We have another email question that I'd like to go to. This is from Quinn, and Quinn wants to know, do you have a favorite or author or illustrator who helped inspire you as you came along?
Well, I have so many
Yeah, it's hard to
author
pick,
and
isn't it?
illustrators that
Yeah.
I like. When I was growing up, I really liked Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh, yeah, Maurice Sendak.
And when I was in art school, actually, he gave a lecture to
Oh.
my art class that talked about how he designed this book, and that was very inspiring. I loved Go Dog Go,
Oh, yeah, that's a favorite.
and of course The Grinch,
Yeah,
Dr. Seuss. And I also really liked The Sailor Dog by Margaret Weiss Brown. And there was just something about this
Yes,
book that
and the
really-
illustrator of that book, I notice, is also the illustrator
yes.
for Charlotte's Web and Stuart Little.
That's right, Garth Williams.
Yes, I had an
And
opportunity to meet his daughter.
there was just a coziness about this book, like particularly
Right,
this scene where it
yeah.
talks about his cabin on the
A lot of color, a lot of detail.
That's right.
Okay, well, we have another caller. Tell us your name and what is your question today for Jennifer?
My name's Claire.
Hi, Claire.
And,
Hi.
I wanted to ask, how long does it take to make a book?
How long does it take to make a
Well,
book?
boy, it takes quite a while. For 10 Timid Ghosts, it took a while to write the book, maybe a couple weeks to write it initially, but then with changes and everything, it can take 6 to 7 months. And then illustrating it took about 6 months.
So it can
So
take a
maybe
long
about
time.
a year.
Okay, thanks for calling, Claire.
Thank you.
We have another caller. I believe this is Brad. What is your question today for Jennifer? Hello?
Did you hear that?
Do you have a question for Jennifer today?
Yeah.
What is your question?
What does it feel like to be
What does it feel like to be an
Okay.
author?
Well, it's a great feeling because it's so exciting to create a story and to do the pictures and to have this story printed into many copies so that many kids can read your story. It's a great feeling. I'd highly recommend it.
It's always exciting to have a real audience. Yes. As for teachers that are watching, do you have any advice or steps for them to help students in creating a picture book?
Well, I think that it's very important to just feel like there is no wrong. Just write down your thoughts, write down to brainstorm, maybe brainstorm together. And
jot down all ideas, I would think.
right, right. And that's what I do when I'm trying to think of ideas. You know, I'll just write all kinds of things down, and then I'll think, how can this be a story? And I think that it can be helpful to maybe have peer reviews. You know, to have, because I'm in a critique group.
Exactly.
Where
Your editors serve as your peer review, right?
That's right. Well, also I have other author illustrators where we meet once a month and talk about what we're working on. So I think that can be helpful in the classroom.
Wonderful advice. We have a call from Mia. Hi, Mia. What is your question today for Jennifer? Mia, are you there? Okay, I think we might have lost Mia. Hopefully we'll be able to get her back. We have another question from Dylan. He wants to know, what is your favorite book that you've written? Well, that's a hard one to answer too, I'm sure.
Well, I'd have to say 10 Timid Ghosts, because I just had so much fun doing the book. I love Halloween, and I loved throughout the book, as the ghosts are scared, they're scared in a different room, and of the house, and it was just so fun designing each room, and I just really enjoyed the whole process.
I'm sure it sounds like a lot of fun. We have a call from Adam. Hi, Adam. What is your question for Jennifer?
What is your next idea for your next book?
Next idea for your next
Wow,
book.
that's a great question. I always have tons of ideas, and I actually keep an idea file. That's something to think about doing that you could do too. But my next idea, I'm actually working on 3 new books. One is about a whale rescue.
Oh.
One is another Halloween book, and one is about a dog.
The whale rescue, will you actually participate in a whale rescue as part of your research for that? That would be fascinating, don't you think?
No, it's about a whale rescue that occurred in 2005.
Oh, okay. All right. Did we have another caller calling in? Nope. Okay. Oh my gosh, Jennifer, we're almost out of time. Before we go, what advice do you have for aspiring writers and illustrators that are watching and listening today?
Well, my advice would be, first of all, stick with it. And just get your ideas down, and maybe even set a set time each day that you're going to be working on your story. The next thing I would say would be, don't worry about making mistakes. All authors and illustrators revise, and just keep going. Just keep going with it. The third thing would be read lots of books. As many as you can, and maybe read each picture book twice, once for enjoying it, and then the second time asking yourself, why do I like it? Why is it great? Or why do I not like it? And you're going to learn by looking at it that way. The last thing I would say would be write what's important to you. Write what you care about. And write only the story you can tell and have fun.
Well, it's wonderful advice, and it's clear that you write about things that excite you and that you're interested in. Thank you so much. It's been so much fun talking to you today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
It's been great.
Our guest today has been author and illustrator Jennifer O'Connell. If you would like to learn more about her books, visit her website at www.jenniferoconnellart.com. And to learn more about our programming, visit us at www.fcps.edu/Fairfax Network. For the Fairfax Network, I'm Della Kidd. Keep reading, keep writing, and keep dreaming.